We are live. Hello, everybody. Thanks for being patient with me. I know I'm 5 minutes late. It has just been crazy setting up all the things. I'm attempting to have a light streaming down. I think what I'd like to do is figure out how I can actually use another camera to stream from rather than just using my MacBook one. But anyway, thank you for being here. It's super exciting. Today is, what is it, week 7 of our lockdown survival. So it's great to be doing these sessions. It's insane how quickly time is flying by. And also, yeah, just the whole situation is insane. But today I've got a little bit more of an agenda. You can see around me, I've got some camera kit, I've got a pack here. I've got a few things I want to talk about. But as always, let's just have a wee little update and introduction and check-in. It's always nice to have a check-in. How are you? 1 to 10, give me a number. 1 is you genuinely couldn't feel worse. And 10 is you are feeling energized and on top of the world. Where am I at? Also, it doesn't not necessarily an energy thing either. I personally am at around, I thought it's kind of nice. I've been asking you guys for all these weeks and I haven't actually given you any numbers. I'm probably a 5 or a 6 right now. Nah, that's sad. I'm a 7. There we go. Let's go with that. I'm a 7. I'll be completely honest with you. I have most of the afternoon been lying down in bed, just feeling really tired and actually dozing, which is kind of nice because I struggle to nap and allow myself to stop. But it's interesting for a number of reasons because I have. Why is it interesting? I don't know. I'm trying to also still follow my train of thought. But anyway, good to see some higher numbers on there, which is really good. And yeah, we got lots of different things to talk about today. Good to have that little check-in. Let's bring you up to speed with the week. So it is a week since we last spoke on Wednesday at 6 p.m. We talked about all sorts of different things. I have to say, I always talk about how I come away from these live sessions. I come into them quite nervous. I come away from them quite unsettled and anxious, usually because I feel very embarrassed. I'm doing a massive mental journey at the moment with loads of different stuff, and it's quite exhausting, but also really important and really exciting. And, you know, as with everybody, probably for me personally, the week has had all sorts of ups and downs. There have been a lot of ups in terms of just having some real clarity on a few personal commitments and projects that I've always wanted to find some alignment with. And then there's been some downs in terms of just not feeling great and struggling to sort of focus and not having enough energy. There's been some really good times, you know, just hanging out here, actually giving myself permission to take some time off. And yeah, some bad times in terms of like footage not being great and that sort of thing. So yeah, lots of ups and downs. Definitely starting to own the fact that I think lockdown life is not lockdown life, that's the wrong phrase, that lockdown and essentially the unknowns of the year is finally starting to filter its way into my head. And it's becoming a little tricky, not quite being able to plan anything, but I'm rising up to the challenge and very much going to assert myself into the situation and figure out a way that we with Wild can make the best of this year. And I'm optimistic, and it's flipping February. It's not like anything drastic is happening. Bobby's coming to say hi. Hey, Bubba, you're gonna come and say hello to everybody? Yeah, that's nice. You came to say hello. He's been hiding because I was running around like a lunatic getting everything. Hey. So yes, anyway, I, as always, am trying to find some kind of agenda to follow with this. I always feel like there's a lot more that I want to say when I start, and then when it actually comes to going live, it's a little bit tricky. But on Saturday, I had the Patreon live. So for those of you guys who are not a part of Patreon, but have followed Wild for any period of time, you'll know that I have a Patreon community. I started the community in January 2020. We now have over 250 people who are a part of that community. It's really very exciting. It's very empowering on my part. It gives me a sense of community and agency, but also it's offering so much for these people and these individuals as well. And if you've been listening to the One Wildlife podcast, you'll hear little testimonials in there. If you watch we're more than just a YouTube channel video, you hear people testimony there. Hi Dave, nice to see you dropped in. And everyone's like, hi Dave. So yeah, Patreon community is great. And one of the things that I do is a live session every month. So like this, but a little bit more private, a bit more intimate, only for Patreons and select tiers. And completely on a whim, I ended up talking all about camera kit. And why? Because there was a camera right in front of me. And it's so hard at the moment, not being able to say, oh, this is what I'm going to do this year, or this is the plans with Wild, or, yada, yada. And I have to say, like, the personal journey that I'm going on in my head and in my heart is not yet ready to go out in the big wide world. Like, I might share it a bit with Patreons, and that's okay. So therefore, it's like, well, if I'm not going here and doing anything, and I'm not going there and doing anything, then what shall I talk about? So that's why I thought, actually, what I really want to do with these live sessions now is start to bring in different subjects. So every subject I'll talk about. Every week I talk about a different subject, and this week in particular I'm going to talk about camera kit. So I apologize to the patrons if this is a little bit familiar, but please at the same time ask questions on the side. I'm not going to read them whilst they're going up, because I found myself struggling with that in the past. It's quite particular when it seems to be a particular thing when I read the words, like just then I stumble and I lose my train of thought. So I'm going to allocate slots as I go through, just to go to read what you guys have been up to. One thing I do feel like I can share, and I've just remembered that I wanted to share, is part of the journey that I'm doing is a journey of identity and a journey of owning who I am as a person. And I've realized sort of my whole life, I've just always apologized for who I am, and I still do. And it's quite tricky, because when you have sort of all of these insecurities and you've come with, or you've everybody has their baggage, and there's a saying that goes, oh, if your adult life, you spend your time unpicking everything that's happened before that. And I think I've always had a very strong sense of identity. But what that has often meant is I felt like I've not fit in. And I've been thinking about this a bit recently. A few podcasts have spoke some thoughts, and me, as you guys know, I've talked a little bit about it. I always feel that I'm stupid, and I know I'm coming back to this, but you guys are here. The whole point of these live sessions is there an input or an insight into my life and what's going on. And, Anna is challenging me, and other people in my life are challenging me, and I'm also challenging me. And I feel on a very personal level that God is challenging me, to actually own who I am. And that I call myself stupid, in particular when I'm insecure, and if I'm anxious and I feel like I can't put words to what I'm feeling, then my default is just to say or think that I'm stupid. But the reality is I'm experiencing some kind of reaction or response or whatever, and it doesn't mean I'm stupid. It just means that I'm a bit overwhelmed and anxious and I can't put words to something. And that feels disempowering. So in order to very quickly empower myself again, I just say I'm stupid, because then that's something people can understand. Oh, I'm just stupid, And it's very interesting being in the public space, because there's many of you guys know sort of my journey growing up. I've talked in different live sessions throughout the last 6 to 12 months about, my story, and about growing up being bullied, and about, sense of identity there. And I think, so much I've forced myself not to look at my identity. But what's very interesting is I'm a very, very intuitive person, and I don't know how not to be. So everything I do is guided by intuition. It's guided by whatever you want to call it. There's this feeling inside of me, and I know very quickly when something is not quite right. But what I don't know is what's not quite right. And that's very hard. And it's also hard running a business like that because it's not a conventional route. You have a model, you follow it. Whereas I have feelings and I follow it. To give you a little example of this, at the moment, I'm well, I'm always working to some kind of schedule with the editing situation, but I have to lean into what I feel like I can edit at any given time. So at the moment, the priority is supposed to be the 2020 recap, and I've been doing little bits here and there, but it's a massive project. It feels very overwhelming, but it's not even that. It just doesn't feel right at the moment. And then I have, for example, the Zugspitze, the highest mountain in Germany. I'm editing the 2 days of which I ascended that, and that's definitely one of the lows because it's, well, we'll come into that, that I've been feeling recently. But like, it's felt right to edit that, and I've made some very good progress with that. In fact, in the last day, I've actually pretty much, well, the last 24 hours, I've got through all of the footage and I've just started scripting. So it's coming together very quickly. And what's very refreshing and empowering about this is it means that I can sort of tap into that flow no matter how I'm feeling, because if there's something I feel like I can do, I can do it. And if I'm honest with you, this is why I started Wild. You know, I started Wild because I really struggled essentially with my mental health, staying true to a job, working full time. I worked on the gym floor pretty much 9 till 9, 6 days a week for two years or so at the first gym. Then I flipped and I became a wellness coach at another gym, and then I sort of drifted over to doing the freelance personal training and fitness instructing to different classes. And life has sort of evolved, but essentially the whole way along it, oh, my laptop's doing something. I've been running Wild, and Wild has, especially from 2017, when I really gained that clarity as to what I was trying to do here, has always been the priority. And why? Because not only is it producing invaluable content for people and helping to inspire and empower people, it's also saving my life every single day. Wild gives me that sense of purpose. It gives me a get up and go. It gives me inspiration. It gives me creativity. It gives me like everything. It's very easy for people to look in and be like, oh, you're just a YouTuber, or you know, it's just an overnight thing that you've built up. But this has been a slog, not a slog, but it's been work every single day, committing and showing up. And it's that consistency. And I know I've gone down a bit of a tangent right now because I usually do. It's just this journey of identity, because I'm trying to find myself within Wild, because Wild is growing and I'm very insecure about it. I'm very uncertain about it. And what am I uncertain about? I'm uncertain how to run a business, how to potentially interact with a team and other people, how to make this more professional, because that's something I want to do without losing the authenticity, and to maintain myself and my sense of identity. And therefore that means staying true to my values. And the thing is, I've always felt insecure that I have very high standards or very strong values, and that's not something to be insecure about. It's like I can own the fact that I'm a sensitive person, and in some ways that's a strength, and in others it's a weakness. But it's not even a strength or a weakness. It's just me, and I just am. And I'm sensitive in one way because certain things, because I'm steered by those feelings, if that makes sense. So I feel like it's very easy for us to lose our sense of identity. And this is sort of why it's been on thought, because a few things have come up for me, but also I just think COVID-19 and the stresses this is placing. And when we are stressed and when we are anxious and when we are uncertain and when we are doubting and when we are afraid, like our true identity in one way comes out. You know, underneath the surface of everything that we put out into the world are our attributes, and these are innate. They're within us, they're part of us, and yes, we can cultivate and tame and grow different attributes, but those are our initial reactions, and those are not something to be ashamed of, and our values are not something to be ashamed of. But what we can do is look at ourselves and be like, how am I growing? How can I continue to grow? Because if we're not growing, then life is static, and it's kind of no wonder we feel stuck. And right now we can't really go out and do anything in particular. So the journey has to happen within us. And I've touched on this a few times within these live sessions. So this sort of leads me into the camera stuff. So with Wild, I feel like sometimes I just become very loose or nonchalant with different things. And I know I have big visions within me. I have big feelings, but I don't know what to do with them because I've never been coached. I've never been taught. Everything I am and everywhere I am right now, everywhere I am, it's like a multiple versions of myself. Where I am right now is entirely off my own back and my own learnings. That candle is going crazy. But it's, and that's a good thing. But what it means is, it means I feel very insecure when somebody who has perhaps a more educated background comes in. I feel like I don't have a say, but the thing is I do, because experience counts just as much as education. And I've been brought up that education is the most important thing, you know, and I have done the journey, and I know that it is and it isn't, you know, it depends on what you're doing. But for example, I, for 4 years in a row, applied to universities. I got a place at St Andrews, I got a place at Durham, I got a place at Oxford. And I said no every single time. I pulled out because I decided, no, this is just not the right course for me. I listened to that, even though everything around me was saying, go to university. Do I regret it? No, I do not. I started a degree with the Open University in geography and environmental science. I did the first year, and then I stopped it for now because it still doesn't feel like quite the right path. And I'll never forget, as a kid, you know, someone very significant in my life said, you know, it seems like you can't commit to anything. It seems like you just always got like feet in all sorts of different things. You try things and then you stop. And I felt very insecure about that, not seeing things through. It's certainly a habit that I have, but I don't think it's a bad habit, because the things, therefore, I'm passionate about, the people I love, the interesting, the things that inspire and ignite me and tap into those passions, like I just said, that I can thrive and be the best version of myself in, I stay with those things. And it's actually a very narrow sphere. I love to try all sorts of different things, but then I take what resonates with me most and I implement that in my life in a way that works. I'm really not very good at following a standard model. So it's, why am I sharing this? I don't really know. I just am. But it's, you know, it's hard, obviously, sometimes when you're so insecure, when I see, for example, other YouTubers. So if you've watched some of my Q&A videos, you know I really don't watch much YouTube. And I've been going on recently because I have a new camera, and we'll talk about that. So I've been like, okay, I really want to be able to up my game. I feel like I don't have the energy, but it's very important to me. And what I learned through my burnout in December is that less is more. Like, I finally learned that lesson and it's ingrained now. And I've always got 1,000 ideas, but I'm really trying to compartmentalize. I'm trying to prioritize, and I'm trying to be much more efficient in my time, and actually own that, like, this is a working day sort of thing. And then after that, it's like, stop, just try and switch your brain off from that. So, and like, for example, Sundays are very slowly becoming a not working day-ish sort of. I'm getting there. I have to lean into that. But, you know, sometimes when I see other YouTubers, because I just pop onto YouTube, I feel exceptionally insecure, and I can instantly get drawn into numbers and how quickly people are growing compared to me. And I have to say, you know, since the since the March lockdown last year, like, things have pretty much stalled, and that has been quite hard. And there you go, someone right there is just saying unsubscribed. So it's so hard being in the public space when you're not really just putting a product out there, but you're putting yourself out there. Because when people don't like what you do, it's like, it's very hard not to take that personally. And I have to say, like, my head is still ringing with all the comments and things that I've seen over the last couple of years, in particular, last six months to 12 months. You know, people commenting that I do too much to camera, I don't do enough to camera, that my voice is weird, that blah de blah de blah de blah, some very personal things, some very introspective, is that the right word? Broad things, you know, about the channel. And it's particularly hard to let those things go. And I don't deliberately take them on, but I have to say, like, you know, since a particular point, I've stopped looking at YouTube comments. Like, I upload on a Monday, I will check just to make sure there's no issues with the video, because I'll never forget when I put out a live, my Tour de Mont Blanc video, which is still one of my most proud and treasured videos. It went up and there were two glitches in the films that somehow had come through, and people commented on that. So I instantly pulled it down and then spent the day carnage trying to get it up and ready. So it's it's really helpful for me to have those comments. But what's hard is, you know, right now people are judging me saying, oh, you're doing this during lockdown. And it's like, well, actually, hang on, like the trees are green, you know. There's it's not an instant thing. There's so much behind the scenes, and that's the nice thing about Patreon, as I really get to share a little bit more about that. And when you're doing this and you're putting yourself out there, the truth is I sometimes need to be held, and the truth is I run a company that inspires and empowers people, but I also need people who inspire and empower me. And I have sort of been feeling that hole a little bit. You know, my podcasts feel that hole, and a few people in my life feel that hole. But this is where I'm starting to feel locked down, because the people who inspire and empower me, you know, I'm not seeing them, I'm not spending time with them. And we need to spend time with people who build us up, and we build ourselves up, the people around us build ourselves up, but we're so much more, and there's so much more sometimes it's required. So again, coming back to why I'm sharing this, I will get there. As I say, I've got a new camera. I've been on YouTube. It's like I get freaked out very quickly about YouTube, and suddenly I feel like, oh, I'm in a race, but I'm not in a race. This is wild. And I have to trust the process. I have to trust the growth is natural. The growth is sustained. The growth isn't necessarily reliant on how much I'm putting out or the quality of what I'm putting out on a superficial level, almost on a production level, but the growth is based upon the quality of what I'm putting out on a very personal, authentic storytelling way. And I have to stay true to that, because, you know, I thought a lot about my style of filming, and I thought it's not particularly cinematic. It's a little bit amateurish, but I like that style. And I like that, you know, I don't have a drone right now, and I would love to get a drone. A drone will come into the picture, but I can promise you, I'm not going to suddenly transition to having drone shot, because when you're on the trail, you don't see life through a drone. You see life through a GoPro, you know, through these eyes. You need that point of view. And that's what I don't want to lose, because essentially what I'm trying to do is build up an archive. I'm trying to essentially have travel guides, but in a very personal way. I'm telling my story, because I believe that every film has to have a story. And yes, I can go get some nice shots and put some music to it, but that's not what I'm trying to do here. And it's hard, because when you have to look at the walls that come up and the barriers that come up, or when you come up against them, you have to look at them and you have to figure out, what actually is this? What is my reaction to this? And how am I going to overcome this? And sometimes it literally means you've got a wall, and either going around it, under it, over it, or actually just turning around and going another way, you know, which is very important. And I thought about these live sessions, and I thought, geez, man, like I could make this so much more professional. You know, I could get all my lights set up. I could every week have an agenda. Like I could do so much more. I want to do so much more, but I'm at maximum capacity sort of with what I can put out in terms of planning and things. But also, that's not what I'm trying to do here. You know, I'm not trying to shoot a film with you. I'm trying to sit down, grab a brew. Thanks, Anna. And just chat. And this is life, you know, and that's something I don't want to lose, is I don't want to lose my identity in what I'm doing by suddenly going, this needs to be slicker. This needs to be yada, yada, yada. Like, this is me showing up for you. Hello, welcome to my living room. So I've talked about camera gear. Let's get on with that a little bit. I've been on a big journey with camera gear. I'm still on it. It's carnage. As I say, everything is self-learnt. And in particular, I've been inspired to start to think about this a little bit more, because I have a new camera. I'm just going to take a drink of tea, because I'm talking a lot. Tea is good. All right, that was good. That was drinkable. Let's put that out of the way because of all the things here. Okay, actually, never mind. So I'll tell you what I started with. In fact, where is that? Did Mum take that home? I think she took it home. Shucks. I started filming, and I'm going to, actually, just a little thing. I have the desire and the urge to do a series on backpacking filming. Again, this is something I've done a massive journey with. I felt very insecure if I put out a video about filming, you know, for example, a DJI versus GoPro, because carpet. I've used both of these for a long time. I know all the comparisons, but someone's going to be like, oh, you're not talking about this, or, you know, what about this situation? And I have to just do what I feel guided to do. And, you know, I felt very insecure about putting videos about backpacking kit, or using camera gear in backpacking situations, because I'm afraid someone therefore is going to take that information and do things better than me and go off to the stars. But the truth is, I don't need to be afraid. The truth is, I have things to share. And the truth is, I have to trust that these will be welcomed. And I just don't need to be afraid, because I am me and I will continue to be me within the picture. So just that little thing out the way. This is perhaps a little introduction to a few videos that I'm going to be doing. So I started filmmaking with a little handheld video camera. So it had DVDs in it. You'd hold it like this. It had DVDs. You had the little viewfinder. You can zoom in with the little zoomy thing. And that's what I started filming wildlife, my local wildlife on. It was a good little camera, actually. And back in those days, I wanted to be a wildlife filmmaker. That was where I started, sort of age 13 years old. Some of you guys know the story. Just to give you the little spiel real quickly. I shot a film. Well, I shoot all my local animals. Started already at that age. I don't know how it happened, really. Getting connections within the BBC Natural History Unit. I did a little course there as well. Ended up in the European Parliament talking about the unsustainable production of palm oil, because that was what I shot a film about. I didn't go to Borneo or Indonesia or anything, though. I just talked to camera and put the pictures on top. I made a film about plastics in the ocean that I did shoot myself and got awarded by Sir David Attenborough. So I sort of, like what I say, peaked early. During the time, you know, I ended up at college and I was able to use their filming kit, proper bulky camera, video camera. What was that? Sony, maybe. And that was fun. That used, what did that use? Tapes, just a big bulky camera. And then I ended up going at the age of 18 to Tanzania, climbing Kilimanjaro, Mount Kilimanjaro. I was 18 years old, just after college. And I shot that on my first proper DSLR camera. That was what was that? I don't even know what that camera was. A Canon something. I don't know what that was. But then that camera died because I destroyed it right as I got to the base of the mountain. Some of you guys might know that story. And we shot that a little bit on GoPros as well. So some of my early hiking films, you'll see the quality is not great, obviously, because technology has advanced very quickly. But I was shooting on GoPro Hero 3+ Silvers. So GoPros have been with me the whole way through. They've been loyal up until me being unloyal to them or disloyal. I really enjoyed using the GoPros. They were great. They, you know, worked in all sorts of different environments. And then basically I upgraded, and I think I went straight to the GoPro Hero 6 or 7. And at the same time as using the 6 or 7, oh, I didn't bring it with me. It's in the study. I got myself a Canon 70D. So the Canon 70D is a DSLR, so it's a digital camera. You can change the lens on it. So just like any other camera, I don't want to pick these up yet because I want to showcase these. It's away, it's in the bag. And it served me very well. The main lens I used I used the kit lens for a long time, actually, because I just couldn't afford another lens. And the microphone I put on top, there we go. This microphone, aka the hamster, has been to the top of Kilimanjaro. So this was the mic I was using. This is the Rode Videomic Pro. You can see on the back it's got different audio settings, but essentially you've got the hot shoe, screws into the top of the camera like that, and then like whatever. And then this is made by myself. Hello. This is the dead cat. So it goes on the top, and basically it helps to stop the wind. It does come with sort of elastic pieces to stop the bounce, because as with any kind of audio equipment, any kind of noise or rustling or is going to be picked up by a microphone. These days, elastic bands do just fine. Improvisation is one of the greatest skills of an outdoors person. And actually, I can prove to you that that is part of a pillow, because, sorry, Bob, here's the pillow, which just got brought. So as you can see, I cut a hole in it. So yeah, I just bought this pillow, I don't know, from Dunelm or something, and I made a wind cover. So that saved me, I don't know how many pounds buying the expensive one. So yes, so I had my Canon, and the nice thing about the DSLRs is is the flexibility. So I spent a lot of time looking at video cameras, actual video cameras, like I started filming on, and I think they're great. But you don't have necessarily the flexibility with changing the lenses and different things. And to be fair, DSLRs really are just the way that things have gone. I don't actually know why I made that decision, but I did. I think it was just more affordable. Why Canon? I really enjoyed the sort of user interface. My mum had a Nikon and I experimented with that for a bit, but Canon just seemed a lot more intuitive. I actually genuinely like their ethics a little bit more, ethics and ethos. And the 70D at the time was just one of the best video or DSLRs that can be used for video. Had a really good autofocus, very sharp imagery, a lot of flexibility with the different settings and things there as well. So that's why I went for Canon, to be completely honest with you. So as I say, along the way, I was using my GoPros. They are long gone. I've decided not to just keep them for nostalgia's sake. And then basically I upgraded my GoPros. That was the next thing that I did. So I went with the 6 or the 7, I can't remember which it was, had endless glitches. I have had not much luck with GoPros ever since. So yes, I think it was the 6 because the battery changes from the 5 to the 6. So then basically I ended up going with the GoPro 8 because that was the newest one. And it's not a logical thought, can I just say, that that you buy the newest piece of kit and then it's going to be the best. It's just not, because they often come with glitches and issues, and the GoPros are no different. So this is my first GoPro Hero 8, which I got to replace the 7, my third 7, which didn't work. This is my second GoPro Hero 8 to replace the first one, and this is my third GoPro Hero 8 to replace the second one. So this, was it this one or this one? I think it was this one. The second one ended up at the bottom of the ocean for 8 hours. When I was on the Cleveland Way. Please check out that video if you haven't seen that already. It withstood that. The camera worked, but basically it's been glitchy ever since. Was it glitchy before that? Yes, it was. One of the biggest issues I've had with the GoPros is the battery life. So everything's fully charged my end. I put it in and suddenly it goes down to like 10%, 9%, 8%, whatever. Doesn't really want to work. The other issue I've had is just corrupting of files. So even where I've used the most up-to-date SD card situations, it's constantly like it'll go to the spanner or go to error, or it'll just go SD card not recognized or whatever. And that is across 3 of these. And I've had more that have gone back because it's just annoying. But I really, really, really do like the GoPro. I love the versatility of it, that you can use it out and about when you're like pretty much in any situation. I love that. Oh, great. Thanks, Trev. That's actually really good to know about the 9 because I was considering that. I love that. I love the video quality of the GoPro, and I'm going to come back to that in a minute. The video quality, it's good. I love that, you can hold it out in the rain. And what I want to say, here's a little tip. I'm really just being bold here now, and I'm sharing things despite feeling very uncomfortable, but this is good. So the thing with all of these guys is they have inbuilt microphones. So this is the casing. My old GoPro used to have a waterproof case. I remember it snowed on the Yorkshire World's Way and I had to put it in the case, but I wanted to record the sound and it was just like, ah. So you probably can't see it here, but there's that little, oh, maybe you can. There's a little hole there, a little hole there, a little hole there on the top next to the on button. And where's the other one? Anyway, there's 3 little microphones on these cameras. So essentially they sort of pick up that surrounding sound. Just have another drink. Getting proper dry throat today. There we go. And that's great. It means like the sound, the audio quality on these guys is awesome. A lot of people like to plug in microphones, but I find that's just really not helpful when you're out in the elements. And that's the whole point for me with the GoPro, is they work out in the elements. And when you're hiking, you're out in the elements. So you can see you've got a little slot here you can take off the side, pop a little microphone on with a hot shoe or just out the side, and then you can record with the microphone. Type of microphone you might use is this. So this is the the Rode Video Micro. So you can see, I didn't make this one. It's got a little microphone there, picking that up. And again, it's got the stabilizer thing there. I can't remember the words right now. Bear with. And the nice thing about these Yes, I'm quite loyal to Rode. I didn't bring all my kit because there's so much kit, but I have exactly the same microphone, just some cheaper model, and it works awesome. And that's going to go on one of the camera setups at some point. So what I was saying, the issue when you're out in the elements is wind, and wind noise is a big problem. And, you know, I've seen so many videos where people they sort of ignore the fact that the wind is screaming in the listeners and the viewer's face. If I have a shot that has wind noise, it's generally a big debate whether it goes in the full film or not. So basically what I found was, yes, you can get little fluffy, basically take these, but tiny circle that stick on the microphone. So they're like little wind muffs, or you can get one of these, which is basically a piece of foam. And as you can see, this one is dead. They die very quickly because they're not stretchy. So if you want to change the battery or the SD card, you obviously have to take the camera in and out. But there you go. It covers the camera just fine. You can access all the buttons, all the points, and that really, really does protect against the wind, which is awesome. And then basically I hold that on a tripod. So I have a whole bunch of these tripods just always ready to go. What I like about these ones, thanks Germany, is they don't have the ballpoint head. So you can buy these little, like almost Joby-like tripods. And they often take one of these balls on the head as well. And those would really wear loose and just flop over. So this one's really nice because it doesn't have that. There's no issue there. Very solid. This should last a long time, which is great because anything we decide we don't want goes in the trash, ends up in landfill, and will be here for many thousands of years after us. I don't like that thought. So I really like the GoPro, but I was just getting so frustrated with it overheating, with the SD cards having issues. I was like, this is not worth 300-400 quid. It's just ridiculous. Let's have a look at the competitor. And a massive shout out to Ian Cooper, who sent me a competitive version, and that was the DJI. So this is the DJI Osmo Action Cam, which is essentially the biggest competitor to the GoPro. Obviously, I've drawn on these. So the DJI was, the DJI was serving me great, and I sort of really enjoyed it. But I was having a lot of issues with the Rocksteady. So the Rocksteady is the inbuilt stabilization. This has Hypersmooth. This is Rocksteady. Same thing, different name, different brand. So the Rocksteady, basically, you know, what a lot of these guys pride themselves on with their technology is that it's super advanced, and you're almost trying to get that gimbal-like movement. What is a gimbal? All sorts of things we're talking about today. Da, 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 da. So I have this case here. In here is a gimbal. So you can see, I don't think it has any batteries in. No, it doesn't have any batteries in. But basically, not batteries, charge. You know what I mean. Basically, the camera sits in here, and then you can face it away or towards you. And with the electronics here, it keeps it steady. So when you're walking, you'll see this. When you've not got a stabilizer, when you're not walking, when you are walking but you have a stabilizer or a gimbal, it's smooth. It's like this. So when you see those shots where it's like, I don't know, they're moving around a subject, so perhaps the camera's going around me and just doing a circle around me, and I'm just looking forwards, and it's super smooth and slick. Like they're using a gimbal, whether it's a little gimbal or a big gimbal for a big camera. So the issue I was having with the Rocksteady is I would turn this camera on and it would look as though I was holding it like that. So the image would be super wonky. So take this laptop and it would be like that, except I would be like that. And then at some random point, it would straighten up. It would just go blue. I also had issues with the cards being recognized. Got it out in the end. Even though I had the highest spec, it just started saying like your card is not recognized, your card is corrupt, whatever. Don't know why that was. And then I had it stolen. So I was in Austria, in Urwald, in the summer, filming there. I accidentally put it down in a spa, and then it was gone. Someone stole it. Lucky them, they have some video of me saying a very meaningful speech, which I don't have anymore. Yeah, that camera went. So Anna, bless her, drove down from Munich to get me. Like, it was carnage. I managed to order one on Amazon and to get delivered to where I was staying. Anna brought one down from Munich, where she was, and then it was time to climb the Zugspitze. So I started the Zugspitze, and this is where I kind of like telling you this because this video will be out soon in I don't know, less than a month. And so basically I started filming on the DJI, because the DJI had so far been much more reliable in terms of actually putting content and quality onto the SD cards, that recording a shot, actually going, yes, we'll save that as a file. You can have that in the future. Here it is on your SD card when you put it in your laptop. DJI, GoPro is like, oh, we'll just decide what we want to do as we go along. La, 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 la. That's how cameras sound, apparently. However, it was as we were walking in the first mile that I really got very like, this quality of the DJI is just not, it was just not as comparable, not as sharp, not as saturated and colorful and vibrant, that's the word, as the GoPro. So then I put the GoPro on. So I started filming with the DJI and you can see the quality. I then switched to the GoPro and the water is actually crystal clear blue. It's beautiful turquoise. The DJI, it looks really, really whited out. And this is not meant to be a comparison video, but basically that was one of my biggest reasons for deciding to go back to GoPro, because I would rather put up with the risk of corrupt files and just have to carry 1 billion batteries because they do what they want to do, than and have higher quality or more vibrant footage than the DJI. So the DJI, I mean, obviously you can experiment with the different settings. And the other thing, you know, you can turn off the hyper smooth and then use it with a gimbal. But for me, this is not comparable or not really usable when I'm on big, long trails and I just don't have the charging source, because the more power you need, the more you have to carry, the more things are going to weigh. So I really am going to do some videos on the GoPro versus DJI. Again, we used them underwater when we were snorkeling in Italy and above the water, and it just so whited out with the DJI and so like nice with the GoPro. So I'm still experimenting there, and I've also just been like, both of you guys are fakes. You're selling me something that's not what I need. So I branched out again, and I got one of these guys. So we're back to DJI. This is the Dji Pocket 2. Recognize this? It's a mini gimbal. So if I turn it on, watch it. It's like an animal. It's so weird. And you can see, you see that? It's filming me. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Anyway, so this is the Dji Pocket 2. Really nice piece of kit. It feels so good to hold. It is really weird because it does feel like an animal. I mean, I can, oops, hang on, flip it round so it faces me. Hello. You can't see that. Hang on. It is a bit fiddly, and it's obviously, because it's on a gimbal, it's very delicate, and that's why it comes with this protective case. So you keep it in there. But then if you're trying to just whip it out, I don't know, say you're just walking along and a deer runs across the path. If you're not going to grab your DSLR or your big camera, get this out, turn it on. There we go. Oh, a deer's gone. You know, whereas with the GoPro or the DJI, you just double press the shutter and it's on straight away. And this has to stay in this case because this right here is very sensitive technological mechanisms. So I really like this, but again, it's not usable in the wind or the rain. I've really experimented with trying to cut the wind noise down. It's just not happening. The microphones are so good that they pick up your breathing no matter how far away or close you hold this thing. The gimbal is fantastic. The image quality is great. So there's a lot to it, but yeah, as I say, all of this, there you go, you guys are talking about it. All of this is very subjective, and I have to say, like, obviously a lot of people swear by these Hero 8s, but I think I've had 6 of them now over the last 12 to 18 months, and I've just not had any luck with the GoPros. Same with the DJI. I can tell you I've had 3 of these, and I have 2 unboxed, unopened in a box, ready for a giveaway, because I really do think they're great cameras if you just want a little point and shoot. But yeah, it's hence me looking at these guys. So I'm still exploring the whole action camera thing, because I think action cameras are really great for vlogging. They're really easy to use when you're on the trail because it's wet and it's windy and you can just whip it out, and whichever you go for, because essentially all I'm saying is the video quality has been very different. If you like the image quality from the DJI. And the thing is, you know, with the DJI, it's essentially just less vibrant, less saturated. It's kind of like this video right now coming from my my MacBook. you can just up that on post-production, on color grading. You can just figure that out, sort it out. So try throwing it out the window. Ian, behave. So that's the sort of action camera scene. I mean, if they weren't so hard, I'd throw them in the air like a celebration. Sorry. So other things you can use, obviously, with these guys. Why do I suddenly have the hiccups? And breathe. Is things like straps. So this is a wrist harness. I always have a head one on me. So basically the camera sits on it like that, and you can wear it on your head. And that's just really helpful to get those, again, point of view if you need both of your hands for scrambling. These things here, these clip onto your rucksack straps. So again, you can have it on there. Anna used a different one when we were diving. So that is pretty much the action camera stuff. Then what I'll do is I'll talk about just a couple of extra things. I haven't got anywhere near everything here. This here is a brain. This is a camera, and you can tie it to trees and things. And basically, it's great for in the night. It's great for trying to catch shots of animals that you can't necessarily go up close to. So it's movement sensitive and sound sensitive. You set it up. This is a proper old school one, though, I tell you. This was one of the first pieces of kits I bought. I filmed otters and all sorts with this. So you put the SD card in there. Obviously, it's battery powered. Again, that's just sort of how old school it is. So yeah, just a remote camera that you can sort of capture wildlife on. Haven't used that for many years, and I'm not actually entirely sure this works. But yeah, again, we took that on Kili, and we got some cool footage of some like mongoose things and stuff. And that is sort of all the additional stuff. The main thing I want to do before I start to go on to the big boys is I want to talk about these guys. See this? I'm sure you got one nearby. In fact, you might even be on it. In fact, oh look, I have a message. Hi, Fleming. Basically, this is your phone. And if I'm honest with you, I use my phone quite a lot to film stuff. Why? Because I really think it's so simple and it's just there and it's so handy. And I really think you can get carried away by all of this kit, but the phone is definitely the place to start. I'm going to be shooting a video very soon. I'm just working on the storyboard of it. On basically how to shoot a hiking film with your phone and only your phone. Maybe a couple of accessories, but even if you don't have the accessories, you can have a buff and you can use it to, hold it upright, whatever. You don't even need that tripod. That is a nice thing about the phone. You've got all the settings in here. This is an old phone. This is a Samsung, well, not old, S8 or something. I know there's like S10 out now and it's not the highest spec video quality. I've thought about upgrading, haven't bothered because it does what I need it to do. And I think we can get carried away by spending hundreds of pounds on camera gear, whereas the truth is we have genuinely pretty good cameras in our pockets. Like, why do you need to carry something extra if this does what you need? And this is great for vlogging. In fact, let's do it now. I'm gonna shoot a little video. Okay, step one. All right, hey guys, this is the live session. We're running the live stream right now. It's, what is the time? Oh, it's nearly 7 o'clock. How is my time nearly up? I'm just shooting this film because we're talking about camera kit. You can see it around me. And I'm basically trying to emphasize the filming on a phone can be really quite empowering. So stay tuned for a phone video near you. There you go. That's going to go on social media. So try and experiment with your phone. And that's really the place to start. If you're brain is exploding with camera kit and you don't know what to do but you want to shoot films, like, you can learn all of the skills you need. There's Penny. You need through your phone. Learning that sort of rule of thirds or whatever it is you need to whatever it is, like just the framing and the speed at which you can pan an image and the different movements such as like slides and yada yada, like all of these things you can master with your phone. And then as soon as you have another piece of kit, you can translate it to there. So let's start to get this thing going with the big kit. So then what I did after my Canon 70D is I decided, well, I'm a hiker and hikers need light things because carrying stuff sucks. Drink the tea. That's actually really not warm anymore. So then I went to the Canon M50. So this is a mirrorless camera, still loyal to Canon. You can see it's got the flip out screen, really, really nice and light. I've just got a little prime lens on the front here. Absolutely love this camera. I have two of these. This is new. The other one has been off on the insurance for since November, I think. It's taking that long to repair it. Thanks, guys. But anyway, that's where my main lens has gone as well. So I can't show you that right now. My favorite lens in the entire world that you can't even buy anymore is a Canon lens. I think it's 15 to 85, something like that. Jolly heavy lens, but really, really good. And that's what I shot on the 70D as well. But the nice thing about this, as you can see, it's really very small. I probably wouldn't take this lens out to film much because I really like a zoom lens. It gives you that flexibility. This is the kit lens it came with, which is a 15 to 45. So you can see if I unlock it. With a zoom lens, you've obviously got that zoomy in and outiness. However, with a prime lens, you don't. This is just the size of the lens. So I have a lot of different prime lenses now. But with this one, this is just basically, if ever I'm going to go for a prime lens, like I will look at the f-stop, the aperture. So I'm not going to go into all the jargon because I know for some people this is already quite a lot to follow. But basically, your aperture is sort of how much light your lens can let into the sensor. I don't know what aperture this one is. Generally speaking, it probably goes down to 3.5 roughly. So if I'm going for a prime lens, it's because I want something that's going to let in more light. Usually prime lenses don't have stabilization either. So this goes down to well, f.2. So that's pretty decent. Can you see that on there? I know it doesn't say that, but anyway, that's basically going to be much better for shooting in low light conditions like now. But I needed this, and I'm going to experiment with setting this up for the live sessions because it does have Bluetooth and stuff. This is another old lens of mine. This is the bit of a beast. I think, is it my biggest? I don't think it's my biggest anymore. I have a bigger one, but it's a 70 to 300. You can see. I mean, you can shoot the moon with this. I've had some very nice videos of the moon with this, but it's just showing its age. Pretty much on every single lens I have, I put a polarizer on. So that is a filter. Here you go. It's not very clean, is it? So have a look at polarizers if you're interested in knowing more about them. They genuinely just work much better for me when I'm out shooting in a sunny weather conditions. Because they sort of keep the sky nice and blue and keep everything, rather than getting contrast and whited out, keeps those colors a bit more saturated. And that brings us up to where we are today. Oh, there's an adapter. So that's the thing. With all these cameras, you can't just put the same like lenses on things. You have to have adapters. So this is a lens for this camera. This lens would not go on this camera, not without an adapter. So this is an adapter that's going to take you mirrorless to your EFS. And I'm dropping everything. The thing that just fell over was this, which was my tripod. So this is the fourth or fifth tripod now that I've used. It's super light. It's a carbon fiber. I can't tell you how much it weighs anymore. Can't remember. But it's just one I got off Amazon. I think it costs about 100 quid. I initially used to be obsessed with having a fluid head. So a fluid head is something that, there we go. Usually it's just a lot bulkier, and it means when you're panning, it's really smooth. Whereas if I loosen this up, you can see it's completely subjective to my movement. Whereas a fluid head it's more in control in the software there. So yeah, that's that. It's not quite as tall as I'd like, but what's nice about this is it fits in the side of my backpack, and it's super easy. Just bam, 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 unlock, and then put it away like that. So this has done a few thousand miles as well now. So I really like this tripod. I would recommend that to anybody. I used Manfrotto before that. I had a really great Manfrotto. I brought it out the other day, actually, because we needed a few tripods for something. I think it was the Abbie and Anna show. And it made me very happy because it has a nice swivelly head, and it's just like good feeling tripod. And so to bring us up to where we are now, this here is now in my life. So I've kind of gone the opposite way with weight. So the M50, I mean, if I was to shoot on that's like pocket money in terms of weight. It's so light and nice and very usable. You clip it on your shoulder strap, put it in your bag, don't even notice, easy peasy. Also, just to show you the microphone, there you go. That's generally what my setup looks like. That's plugged in there. Happy days. So light is great, but I have decided that the quality of wild needs to be upped a little bit more. And so boom, bring in this one. This is the Sony A7s Mark Iii. if anyone knows anything about cameras, you'll know that this is a bit of a beast of a camera. This is definitely a professional grade, full frame camera. Just got my little tripod thing on the bottom there. At the moment, it's got a 16-35 on there. The main lens I think I'm probably going to be using with this is 18-105. It's got a slight crop factor because it's not a full frame lens. But anyway, what I like about this lens is a super wide angle. The quality of the stuff that's coming out here is amazing. Just my biggest issue with it is the weight, but this is the journey, and welcome to the beginning of the conversation to now finally come full circle. This is the journey I'm on, because this here, having suddenly this in my life, and it has happened quite suddenly, but I'm very grateful for that, is this represents a lot of opportunity. This represents the future because obviously I can shoot in sort of 4K here. Well, I can with the M50, but blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to go into the specs of the camera, but this has a lot of possibility and opportunity if only I can learn to use it properly and actually spend some time rather than threatening about the the stress of I need to get this mileage in, actually suddenly owning that I'm a creator, I'm a videographer, I'm a director, I shoot films, I tell stories, and I love my N50. This will probably still come on the trail for a long time to come. The footage is very comparable, but it's when you start putting lenses on this thing that the game is up. And as much, this weighs, the body itself weighs pretty much 700 grams. This body on its own weighs about 400, like instant massive difference. The batteries are huge. To get a microphone on this as well, because I don't tend to keep the microphone off of these. Like I have to find a camera bag and a way of carrying this, but it's going to be hopefully worth it because I'm not only changing my kit, I'm changing my mindset, and I'm trying to tell those stories in a much more videographical, cinematic way. And actually have fun doing that and not stress out about it. So even if it's a case of holding this camera up and getting a massive bicep in the process, just saying, and talking to the camera in a bit more of a vlogging style when the weather doesn't require, and this guy's pulled out when he needs to be pulled out. I don't know yet because I'm not on the trail and I need to experiment. It feels a bit scary because there's comfort in the familiar, but soon this will become familiar. This is a weather sealed body, so I can have this out in a bit of rain. This thing I wouldn't even dare. So it is exciting. It is daunting. It is overwhelming. And it's funny because I'm not a thing person. I'm not a materialistic person. And suddenly having all this stuff makes me feel very like, it doesn't sit well with me. But I realize my identity isn't in the stuff. And it's like with my backpack. I brought this out for a reason. This is my Osprey Exos 48. This has done thousands and thousands of miles with me. This is one of my favorite pieces of kit. And, if you've watched one of my recent gear reviews, I reviewed the Gossamer Gear Mariposa 60. So it's a very competitive backpack. I have that pack. Technically, it's better, but I'm still stuck to this because this is part of my identity. This is part of who I am. It's got my little Bobby tag on it. It's got all my feathers. It's got all my jingle jangles, things people have given me. And I love this pack. I trust it. And the pack is different from the camera stuff. The pack serves its function. It doesn't need upgrading until it's absolutely dead. Whereas these guys, this is different, and I'm excited to share this with you. And this has been some of my thoughts. There you go, from the last week. Is about I don't have to be insecure, and so long as I maintain my learner's mindset, then I'm going to continue to move forwards. And it's like with my training, I'm for the last couple of months become very enthused by reach a goal and then do more. So if I am going for a cycle, I don't know, even just 15 miles, whatever, then it's like, okay, I reach home, but then I just have to go a little bit further. Or if I'm doing some kind of hit thing, then I'll do my 20 minutes and then I'll just do 3 minutes or 2 minutes or 1 minute extra. If I'm doing 10 press ups, I'll do 11 because that's just the mindset I'm trying to cultivate. And that can translate into everything else. So with the backpack, funnily enough, this is what I'm bringing in to introduce next week's conversation. So the next week's conversation is going to be talking about kit. It's going to be talking about hiking and camping kit, hopefully answering any questions you've got there. And I can see I've already run over, but actually I've made up the time that I left. I'm going to have a really, really quick scan through here and see if I've missed any questions. Oh, that rambling person. Just stick to your walking stuff, otherwise I unsubscribe. Well, he's gone now anyway, so bye. I laugh, but it does hit a spot, and I just have to let it go in my own special way, probably on the spin bike tomorrow morning. Thanks for that. Okay. Just having a real quick scan, bear with. I know you guys are just getting like an up close version of my face, so hello. Oh, how fast everyone has jumped to Abbie's defense shows exactly why this kind of community has created. It's true, man. Thank you. Come on then. I know there's questions because I've seen them, but like I say, I try not to read it whilst it's going on. Oh yeah, Anna's hand is becoming the thing of wild. Yeah, the hand didn't visit today, sadly. The hand arrived beforehand. Beforehand. That's funny. Come on, I'm nearly there. I'm over halfway. I'm loyal to DJI. I love discussion about cameras, which is awesome. Yeah, DJI Mavic Air 2 drone. That's what I'm looking at getting, by the way, with the drone situation. And I would like to get a drone, but I'm not going to become over reliant on it. Any advice would be good about cameras? Yeah, but we can. Well, stay tuned for the videos. If you guys have any particular videos that you'd like me to shoot about camera setup, about yada yada, anything, then please let me know. Like, please don't hesitate to get across to contact us through info@spendmoretimeinthewild.co.uk. Is that right? I think that's right. Or across social media, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is. So yes, you can. That'll be very helpful to know exactly what you guys are looking for. I have a massive long list, but I know that we'll get there. Oh, that was the other thing. Where did that go? So how do I store all of my footage? I use hard drives. I have a lot of hard drives. I have everything saved double. And I was just thinking the other day that actually I need to have my second copy not here, because the reason why I have a second copy is in the event of a situation where the first copy gets destroyed, I have the second copy. This stuff is priceless. I don't own anything physically that means as much as the footage that I have. It's everything to me. So yeah. What prime lens? We talked about that. All right. Why would you take a large camera and a GoPro on a long distance trail? Okay, let's just answer this question, then we'll wrap this thing up. So these guys I usually take for more the vlogging situation. So where I'm talking to the camera, I'm talking to the little camera. Whereas when I'm doing the landscape shot, so I'm filming the landscape, I'm using the bigger camera, and often you've got the zoom so you can zoom in, and that's basically why, just different quality, different reasons. So yeah, anyway, that'll do. Thank you guys for watching. I've really enjoyed this and spending this time with you. It's been nice to have something to chat about, and maybe next week I'll bring in some other things as well. But as I say, next week we're also going to talk about hiking kit, camping kit, and the journey I've been on there. So stay tuned, and if you have any particular questions, it's just really helpful to know there's in advance. I can make sure I'm covering that when I'm having the conversation with you. I hope that hasn't blown your brain too much. I have to tidy all this up now. But thank you so much for watching, guys. Please keep sharing the videos that I'm shooting, and with everybody and anybody and everybody that you know. If you would like to consider supporting the channel, then please do check out our Patreon community. That's patreon.com/spendmoretimeinthewild. And in the meantime, just keep watching the videos. That makes the biggest difference to me. Every advert you watch makes a difference to me. I think I get about £0.01 per advert. But that really helps support the channel. It helps support the project. And I am honest, and I do want to be honest and transparent. This is a project, and it's not just a money-making ambition like some people like to have an opinion in. We're really changing lives and saving lives here, helping people get outside, and I just can't wait to continue the journey with you. So wherever you are, take care, and of course, stay wild. I'll see you very soon. Bye.